they were keeping the passwords for documents in the same file folders as those documents themselves. It's really just a face-palming security mess.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 biggest hacks of the century so far.
This is bad. Worst DDoS attack I've ever seen.
And if that person is out of this country, will you have jurisdiction over that person?
He talked about his depression. He talked about having his name on there, and he said he was just very, very sorry.
For this list, we're looking at computer hacks and data breaches in the 21st century that are the most famous and culturally significant. Let us know in the comments whether you've been caught in a data breach. And now we'll leak an entire top 10 of this stuff. Number 10. DNC email leak. In the run-up to the 2016 U.S. election, an enormous email leak may have put a stop to Hillary Clinton's dreams of becoming president that year. In July, an enormous batch of thousands of stolen emails belonging to the Democratic National Committee was released by WikiLeaks. The most damning content in the emails was the Democrats' organized attempts to prevent Bernie Sanders from gaining the nomination. No matter your thoughts about politics, it's not exactly democratic to manipulate things behind the scenes to ensure any candidate doesn't get a chance to run. Things got even messier when the Sanders campaign accused Clinton of money laundering as well as bias. Number 9. Equifax. Close to 150 million Americans were affected when one of the U.S.'s biggest credit companies, Equifax, suffered an enormous data breach. The breach happened in 2017, and a wide range of vital personal data fell into the hands of cyber attackers, including social security numbers and dates of birth.
The best thing to do here is to engage in what's called a credit freeze. A credit freeze locks down your social on your credit report, preventing anyone from opening up any new lines of credit.
But Equifax didn't notify consumers of the breach until a few months after it had happened, which was pretty shocking considering that more than 15 million non-Americans were also affected. A few years later, Equifax was ordered to pay a huge settlement of $700 million for the breach, which may have even led to incidents of identity theft. Number 8. Celebgate. In 2014, the internet was set ablaze when celebrity nudes began to leak online for some of the day's biggest names, including Jennifer Lawrence, Kaylee Cuoco, and Kirsten Dunst.
First, you have to find the person, and that's really the toughest battle.
After Apple was blamed as a source due to supposed security issues with iCloud, they investigated and discovered that the data had been accessed through phishing, a common scam most people will have encountered.
And they did a very smart thing by saying, this was me, and I'm going to sue whoever I can sue.
Thankfully, unlike in many hacking scandals, the culprit was actually caught and convicted. It was a 36-year-old man from Pennsylvania who was responsible. Celebgate also led to Apple increasing its focus on privacy and security even more, and additional arrests for hacking personal accounts. Number 7. Facebook. In recent years, it's become clearer and clearer that Facebook's security protocols aren't working all that well. Not only was there a large attack on Facebook in 2013 that resulted in 2 million stolen passwords, but in 2019 there was an additional and significantly larger breach that affected around 500 million Facebook accounts. And this time it actually was Facebook's fault because there was a major flaw with its contact syncing system.
When Facebook says, old news, we patched this, no big deal. Again, I say it's a really big deal if it happens to you.
Facebook users like to share their personal stories, but sharing this kind of information is a different story. If you've used the platform in the last 10 years, you've probably been involved in a leak. Bummer. Number 6. First American. Also in 2019, First American announced that around 885 million mortgage documents had been stolen by hackers. This was so severe because of the amount of personal information that is put into a mortgage application to get accepted, including financial details, photo ID, and social security number. Both customers with mortgages and the banks that lend the money were compromised in the incident. First American was ultimately sued, but only needed to pay regulators a fine of under $500,000. That's small change compared to the value of those compromised mortgages. Not to mention the fact that the company knew about the security flaw since the previous year. Number 5. Ashley Madison. This controversial website was designed with a specific audience in mind, people who wanted to cheat on their partners.
He started spending later and later on the computer. After I'd gone to bed, he wouldn't come to bed.
Unfortunately for Ashley Madison's millions of users, the company you'd think would prioritize privacy and security was doing nothing of the sort and never deleted any of its user data.
Their wives were decimated and hurt, and they wanted to talk.
In 2015, a group of hackers took advantage of this and stole all the site's data, threatening to release it and expose Ashley Madison's clientele if the business wasn't shut down. Rather than take down the website until the hack could be resolved, the company decided to call the hackers' bluff, with disastrous consequences for them. Info dumps found their way online, and the resulting fallout was immense and sometimes tragic.
How do you tell your kids that their dad is gone and that he took his own life?
Number 4, Yahoo. In 2013 and 2014, Yahoo was the victim of an enormous leak. But shockingly, the company still didn't see fit to tell anybody until 2016, some 3 years later.
Your username and password and some security questions, which tells me that the basic security in the company wasn't just every room in the house is locked.
When the violation finally became public knowledge, it took an additional 10 months for Yahoo to confess just how many accounts had been affected. And it turned out every single one of its 3 billion accounts was compromised.
If somebody goes in and basically steals some data, they don't leave any footprints that are too obvious, and you don't find out about it until later when somebody tries to sell that information, bundle it, and sell it on the black market.
In terms of users affected alone, this is the largest hack in history as of 2021. The problem was that Yahoo's security was severely lacking, allowing cybercriminals with even basic knowledge of how to crack passwords and accounts to run off with vast amounts of data. Number 3, Sony Pictures Entertainment. It wasn't the largest hack in history, but it certainly was one of the strangest. Back in 2014, Seth Rogen and James Franco's comedy movie The Interview, about 2 journalists visiting North Korea and killing Kim Jong-un, ruffled quite a few feathers.
Like, there's a press conference coming and Obama's going to talk about it, I think. And I remember we were like, he's not going to talk about it. And it was like the first question.
Enough feathers, in fact, that a hacker group claiming to be from North Korea hacked Sony, the movie's distributor, in revenge.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States.
The hack succeeded in its aim of hampering the interview, which was pulled from most theaters ahead of its release, but also stole the personal information of many Sony employees who had almost nothing to do with the film. Between that and the huge PlayStation Network hack, 2014 was a bad year for Sony.
North Korea would be wanting to attack this particular movie and the people responsible for this particular movie. This is a much broader attack.
Number 2, WhatsApp. Boasting end-to-end encryption and the ability to totally erase all your data, WhatsApp is built on its promise of total privacy. But in 2019, it turned out this might be too good to be true. WhatsApp was targeted by some aggressive spyware that year, putting users' private information, messages, and even hardware at risk.
WhatsApp users can do a few things. First, update. Immediately, right now, update WhatsApp.
The spyware was developed by the NSO Group, known for building complex malware, and could infect a phone simply by making a call. Users didn't even have to answer the call to be hacked.
What the hackers can do is manipulate how that data is flowing into the WhatsApp program. It goes into a buffer overflow, which then starts to rewrite WhatsApp's memory.
Thankfully, it looked like the exploit wasn't really taken advantage of, but it still meant every single WhatsApp user had to update their app to fix it ASAP. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Sina Weibo, China's biggest social platform, had over 500 million accounts compromised in 2020. LinkedIn. It took LinkedIn 4 years to come clean about the millions of passwords stolen in 2012. eBay. 145 million accounts were compromised, and eBay still took days to notify users.
Somebody hacked into a database owned by eBay of its customer information, and this happened sometime in late February or March. It was a little while ago.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, SolarWinds. Microsoft President Brad Smith described this 2020 data breach as the largest and most sophisticated attack the world has ever seen.
It's like the equivalent of a nuclear bomb going off. It's just devastating what this impact will have, not just now, but for years to come.
The hackers, who are thought to be backed by the Russian government, targeted software provided by Texas-based company SolarWinds. The hack affected 18,000 users, compromising dozens of major companies and numerous government agencies around the world, from Britain's Home Office and the European Parliament to the U.S. Pentagon, NSA, Department of Defense, and even American nuclear facilities.
Around 18,000 customers were exposed to the malicious code.
What happened is that the hack infiltrated their build process, which pushes out updates to all of their customers.
They were able to sit pretty inside these networks for months before the breach was discovered, collecting data, deleting and altering records, and modifying systems. The full extent of the breach will take years to investigate and understand.
The repercussions of the SolarWinds hack are still being unraveled. As the Biden administration settles in, it will have to contend with the aftermath of this hack and also work to prevent security lapses that can endanger national security in the future.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.